Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Searching in Scopus. My name is Carol Cook. I'm a health sciences librarian at the Neil John McLean Health Sciences Library, and I'm assisted by my colleagues, Stefania and Nicole, who will be here to assist with technical support questions and also, some of the more basic questions. Just some basic information before we get started. This webinar is being recorded, but you and your name will not be included in the final recording. As we're going along, if you have questions, please use the question and answer pane in the GoToWebinar software. Today we'll be also using a website called mentee.com. There is a link in your chat to Mentee for some polling. So if you'd like to follow along and participate, please feel free to do so. Mentee is great because it allows you to contribute anonymously to the class. So again, your contributions will not be assigned to you and your privacy will be maintained. So Scopus, for those of you who are on Macs, has limited functionality in Safari. So if you are on a Mac, if you could just switch over and use Google Chrome if you're following along, or another browser, that would be great. I'm not exactly sure what is the problem with Scopus and Macs. I suspect it's that in Macs, it has smart quotes, which is something that Mac does for quotation marks. And Mac ends up putting in like the nice proper, I guess it's like this, quotation marks. But really what Scopus wants is a straight up and down quotation marks. So I think it's a formatting problem. And I think that doesn't happen in Google Chrome. So if you are following along, please use Google Chrome. All right. So today, what are we going to cover? I'm going to cover a little bit about, oh, hang on, before we do that. The first thing I would like you to do is just let me know maybe where you are in your graduate studies. So if you're in the link in the chat, it goes to mentee.com. This first response, or you can go to mentee.com on your device, on your phone, and use this code. And the code is for just this session, and then you can put in information. So I'll just give you a quick second to maybe fill in some information. Okay, masters. All right. Okay, thanks very much for adding in some content. For those of you who are just showing up, you can go to mentee.com. If you look in your chat, you will see a link to Mentee for this class so that you can participate in engagement for searching in Scopus. So if you do want to do that, you can fill in some information and just quick, easy questions, and they're all anonymous. So I'm going to move on. So what we're covering today, we're going to go into a little bit in depth about what is Scopus, how to access Scopus, and some basic searching and maybe some advanced searching strategies. I think for me, why Scopus is such a fantastic database is it's not necessarily all those basic searching and advanced searching strategies. It's the additional extra stuff that I think is the most important. So things like cited reference searching, you might know it as snowballing. That's where you look at references for a particular citation or who has cited an article. And I think it does that really well. You can also set up alerts, you can create researcher profiles, and you can export to citation management software. So I think those things are probably, for me, what make Scopus a very interesting database and very useful, especially if you're in graduate studies, working on theses and so forth. Okay, so Scopus is an interesting database in the constellation of databases because it's very large. It has well over 21,000 journals that it indexes. It's related to and put out by the publishing juggernaut Elsevier. So it it covers their content very, very well. It also covers the STEM subjects really well. But what's neat about it is that it also covers the social sciences, arts, and humanities pretty well as well. So I use it for questions where it seems like it's the more social side of the sciences, if you're looking at things like education in the sciences and that sort of thing. But it's also just as well as if you are like a hardcore physician, you can find really good content there as well. So in health sciences, it includes PubMed, Medline, and Embase as well in one database. So in menti.com, I wanted to get a sense of how comfortable are you currently searching the literature. So for those of you that have just shown up, if you look in the chat feature, you will see a link through to menti.com, and you can just maybe pop your response into the chat, not into the chat, but into the Menti search page. If you prefer, you can go on your phone to menti.com and put in the code and then just answer the question. How comfortable are you searching the literature? I have no experience. I've got skills, but they need polishing. And I'm an expert and really just looking for tips. And this will help me direct how I do the rest of this presentation. So I'll give you just a few seconds to do that. All right. I'm going to go with the skills need polishing. So what I will do is I will kind of skip past some of the basic stuff pretty quickly and get into the more interesting parts of Scopus because you will have had the basic how to create an answerable question and, uh, and, and search term development. So I might skip that or move past that pretty fast. Next thing I wanted to know is which faculty or school does your program fall under? So for this, I just want to get a sense of where you're coming from so that I know I can surface some of that really good content. Let's just voting is closed. I don't want to close voting. Open. There we go. There we go. Well, I'm having a problem with my voting, so people might not be able to get their content. Oh, good. So, Earth Sciences. So we've got scientists out there. Who else is out there? All right. I'm going to move on. Okay, so to get at Scopus, you need to go to the University of Manitoba Libraries webpage. One of my colleagues has popped that link into the chat. And if you want to follow along, you can feel free to do so. I am going to move pretty quickly, so this recording will be available for you later. So to get there, from the main University of Manitoba Libraries page, you can click on Databases A to Z. This interface will be changing on March 23rd, but it will still have Databases A to Z right in the middle of it. And then we'll go to S for Scopus. I like to do a Control F to find Scopus, but it's down towards the middle of the page if you want to scroll. So this is the Scopus interface. So all questions have to start with an answerable question, but really what makes a question answerable? It has to be concise, it has to have 2 to 3 main concepts. If you have more than 2 to 3 main concepts, you might have to split up that question into multiple little questions. As you're doing your thesis and working on your dissertation, you are probably going to have a number of different questions following along different themes. This is totally fine in terms of literature searching. And you'll need to break those things up. I'm just going to flip back. So I'm going to use social determinants of health just to do a quick little search. And social determinants of health. Scopus is really interesting because it automatically defaults to searching article title, abstract, and keywords. So it's looking at all of those places that surface like the really most relevant content up to the top. And it lets you know what it's searching. So I quite like that about Scopus. Notice here I'm using quotation marks. If I just typed in without quotation marks, social determinants of health, it would by default put an and in between all those words. So it would do social and determinants and of and health. And those words could appear anywhere in the record. It could be in the abstract, it could be in the title. So in order to keep them close together, because the entirety of the concept is important, I'm going to do social determinants of health and just run a quick little search. So in this case, we've got roughly 13,000 documents. Not that I would suggest that you go through that, but what you can do is you can edit your search and manipulate it. So you can do things in Scopus, and this is different from a lot of other databases that you're going to be familiar with at the U of M. You can add a search field. And in this case, it's allowing you to and a couple of concepts together. So if I was thinking back to that social determinants of health and how that affects emergency department use, I could type in emergency department. If I was concerned, because emergency department is singular, and I want to also search the plural, I could do this. Or what you search in Scopus is what you get. There's no term matching happening in the background, like you'll see sometimes if you're doing a Google search or if you use PubMed regularly, they do term matching in the background that will help improve your search. But in Scopus, when you're searching, what you type in is exactly what you're going to get. So what I'm telling the computer here is that I want you to find all articles with social determinants of health as a phrase, and those articles that have either emergency department or emergency departments within them. Now, this is not full text searching, it's just searching title, abstract, keywords, okay? So we've reduced that 13,000 down to about 178, which is not too terribly bad, but you can further limit your searches in Scopus. So for example, you can limit by year. Say maybe you're only interested in maybe the last 10 years. You can just select them. And maybe you're only interested in English language articles. And then you can hit limit. It'll do the search. It hasn't dropped off very much, but it has allowed me to refine things. And if I want to, I can go back, edit the search again, and get rid of some of these. So maybe I want to tighten it up to the last 5 years. I could certainly do that as well. I think what Scopus does that's and does really, really well. I know I'm skipping ahead in my presentation. So I want to make sure that, yeah. So what I would like you to do in Menti is think about the question that you have. What are you working on for your thesis? What is the research that you're tackling? And what I would like you to do is to just pop in here. What search topic are you actually working on right now? Remember, keep in mind that you only really want to have 2 to 3 main concepts in your search. So as you're drafting your search question, pop it in. No one wants to share today? Does anybody have any questions they would like to ask? Ah, circular ribonucleic acids or circRNA. Excellent. That's your search statement, your query, absolutely. Circular ribonucleic acids or circRNA. What this person is doing here is they're actually putting in acronyms. And acronyms are definitely allowed in searching, especially in Scopus. I like Scopus because it deals with them fairly well, but you have to be that specific. If you're not, if you tried to do like AMA, it's going to be all over the place. So anyone else want to share their search topic? Impacts of social enterprise on Indigenous communities in Canada. What a fantastic topic. So you have a particularly challenging one, and I'm sure that you've got are very much aware of it. With Indigenous communities in Canada and searching for Indigenous information, there are a number of Indigenous search filters that you might actually want to have a look at. And there are some coming out of the University of Alberta that actually allow you to copy and paste in specific Indigenous communities. So if you wanted to, you can maybe reach out and I can connect you up with some of that content. The impacts of social enterprise. Impact is a hard word, so it's not something that you would search on. And social enterprise, that concept encompasses, as I'm sure you're aware, a whole raft of different ideas. And that can make searching, especially in this context, really challenging. But Scopus is a very good database for this particular search. Okay. Something else for those of you who are maybe working on search terms, pick one of your concepts. So in the case of the previous persons, you might want to, you've got circular ribonucleic acids, but pick another concept and maybe um, just include in some of those chaining, some of those term development things for social enterprise. What would you use? What other terms might be relevant? The search for that. All right. Any questions, Stefania?
So far, there's no questions. You're good to go.
Okay, great. All right. So just a quick reminder, Boolean operators that Scopus uses are the and. So we showed a little bit about how that works. The or. Scopus also uses not, but I can tell you that as far as librarians are concerned, we don't use it. It's a last resort. So it removes unwanted resources and it can narrow down a search, yes, but it can also eliminate a lot of really good content. So if you're considering using not in your search, you should probably be talking to a librarian and we may be able to help you refine your search so that you're not omitting really good content. An asterisk will truncate a word. This should be fairly familiar to you if you've searched in other areas. So for words like child, it will surface child's, children, and so forth. Phrase searching, I've already explained. So those are all things that you can actually do within the Scopus environment. Oh, wow. Here we go. So for searching in Scopus, you can tackle searching two ways in Scopus. Like I did, I set up and did search individual concepts and just kept on adding. So if I go back to my search, I added in my individual concepts into these separate rows and then anded them together. So these two were ORed. This concept, which is a separate concept, ended up being anded together. So it's one way of doing it. You can also incorporate the entirety of your search into one search phrase. Now, I don't recommend doing this. I recommend that people actually uh, not do this because you want to have some flexibility in how you use your search. So maybe you might decide if you were searching on bicycle helmet and promoting bicycle helmet use amongst children, for example, maybe you want to do bicycle and child and maybe not focus so much on helmet. So if you have your search strategy built out in um, um, separate lines, then it allows you a great deal of flexibility in how you use it. This one, which is what a lot of people try and do, is somewhat challenging because it's called nested searching. So all of your concepts that are ORed together, all of your synonymous terms, show up within brackets and then are ANDed with another group of synonymous terms in brackets, and then are ANDed with another group of synonymous terms in brackets. Where this can fall down is if you omit a bracket at a critical point, like perhaps here, it then ends up totally adjusting and changing your search strategy. So the computer will go along and do the ORs first, and then helmet or head protective device. So that will be fine, but where it will break is here. So and child, it will do the and child, and then it will take that entire result and then OR it with youth, which is completely useless because youth could encompass more than bicycle helmet and head protective device. It takes these two concepts completely out of the mix. But what that looks like in Scopus is you can literally just pop it in. I'm just going to get rid of, you can throw anything you want in the garbage can, including a search. So this is what that search looks like. And it's going to search article title abstract keywords. And if I let it run a search, let's see. So we've got 923 documents. Something else we can do to this search to kind of tighten it up a bit is to edit it and say, I think I just want to look in the article title. And that would help focus it. Or you could say, I just want to look at, sorry, I just want to look at keywords. And you can focus in on keywords. And that will help you focus and refine your search. I'm going to pick the article title. And it will take it from 178 down to 121. What that would do with keywords, just out of curiosity, it's expanded it. So by looking at keywords, it includes the author keywords, but any other standardized keywords. So the title focused it, and searching for keywords expanded it. So we don't know where that might be breaking or refining things, but this is actually, while title might be the more focused search, this might actually be more accurate representation of the information. So if I was looking at promoting bicycle helmet use, maybe I might want to edit this and put in another search field and put in promotion. Maybe even promotion specifically in the article title. 17 documents, which is pretty reasonable to have a look at. So let's have a look. Write out your full search. So if you have been following along and doing a little bit of thinking about your search and your research question, see if you can try writing out your full search. This is also an open-ended question, so if you want to, if you'd rather, you can also make a comment, or you can direct a question to me this way, or you can use the questions feature. Stefania, do you have any questions for me at the moment?
So far, nothing at the moment.
Okay. Community resilience to environmental disasters. Okay, that's really cool because what you have to do is you have to break that down. So you've got three concepts there, three separate concepts. So if you were to write out your full search, you would maybe explore that concept of community. So that could be the word community. It could be COMMUNIT with an asterisk. You could also add in rural or urban if you're looking at specific different communities. Resilience is interesting as well because if you put an asterisk at the end of the C in resilience, you're going to get resiliency. If you move that asterisk up a little bit and maybe put it after the N in resilience, then you would get resilient as well. Disaster, you probably want to truncate and have the disaster in it or have the asterisk at the end of the R. But with disasters, you might also want to be specific. What exactly, which disasters are you looking at? Is there a range of disasters? Are you looking at maybe hurricanes, or are you looking at disasters that might happen on the prairies? The circular ribonucleic acids, yep, the search terms that you had are brilliant. Lung development and congenital lung defects. That search then becomes really, really problematic because of the lung piece, because you're looking at both development and defects. So searching for lung, you're also probably going to want to search for pulmonary. So it might be lung or pulmonary. You might also truncate pulmonary to pulmono and then an asterisk. So it would be a round brackets, lung or pulmono asterisk, another round bracket, and then that circular ribonucleic acid set. So you would and it and then put that next set in round brackets. All right. So I'm in good tech. What I've done here, because I was concerned whether or not I might have enough time. There's a lot of content in this. I've also incorporated into the slides that are in the handouts section. If you click on handouts in the GoToWebinar, you'll see a Searching in Scopus handout for slides. All those slides, the links are all active. So you can click on that, grab that PDF, and you can save it to your desktop. and you can open it, you can follow along, but also get access to all these links. So the reason why I wanted to put in links is just if in case I didn't get to all this content, I wanted you to be sure that you check out some of these other video tutorials to talk about these concepts. So next I'm going to talk about cited reference searching or snowballing, or citation chaining as some people might refer to it. In Scopus, what I really like, and this is, I think, probably the main strength about Scopus, those of you that are in the hardcore sciences will be familiar with Web of Science or Web of Knowledge, which also does cited reference searching or citation chaining. Scopus does it as well. So with my search, I can then explore all these different articles, not just only by looking at their citation information and their abstract to see whether or not it's good, but I can also explore any references that are attached to it. I like this because then I can say, okay, I'm going to follow this and see if this is a good article to support my question or not. You can also save these things, whatever you're interested in, to a list. So if you scroll back up to the top, you can click Add to List, and it will create those, capture those citations and allow you to download them and manipulate them. So I think it's fantastic. In addition, what you can do is you can look over here at who's cited it. So you can go back in time from the time the article was written, looking at their references, and you can go forward in time to see how people have used this particular article to support their conclusions. So you can look at forward in time all these different citing documents. So who cited this particular one? And then explore those as well. Now, when it comes time to writing this up in your methodology for your thesis, what you will be doing is describing it as citation chaining. So you do your initial literature search. What you can do is you can say, if you did a number of different searches looking at different aspects of your question, you can say that you used an iterative search process, using a combination of keywords, and you can give those combination of keywords that you used. You looked in these databases. So if you think you might need to look in more than one database, you might want to talk to a librarian because we can certainly help you. Um, in You can also say that from those results that you discovered in your literature search, you used citation chaining, pearl growing, snowballing, similar concepts. But I would use, just in your thesis, I would use citation chaining. So you looked at references and you looked at who has cited those to see if you could discover more relevant content to support your conclusions or to support your ideas. Okay. Something else that you can do that I think, especially if you're looking at this as research being long term. So if you're at the beginning of your master's and you've got a year ahead of you, or if you're starting your PhD and you're not too sure how long that's going to take, if you're following an idea or a topic, you can set up automatic alerts, which I've done. I'm going to sign in to my account. So give me a minute while I do that. Let's see. You can create a free account. There's no additional cost to you. And this is a really great thing to do because it allows you to do a number of different things. You can save your search strategies as well so that you can come back and rerun the search at a later date or refine it as you like. So in my case, what I want to do is no, I don't want to do a survey. Maybe later. I'm going to set up I'm going to go back to my search and I'm going to set a search alert. I want to follow this particular search result. So I'm interested primarily in that promotion piece. So I'm going to leave that in. This is a pretty tight search, so I'm not going to get a lot of results down the road. It'll be very specific. And I'm going to hit the little bell and have it set an alert. Now, this alert will send me an email at a specified amount of time. So I can name this. So maybe thesis. Sorry, try that again. Things are disappearing on me. Maybe I won't try that. Well, let me do it. Yes, okay. Or promotion. Okay. My frequency, I don't think I want it every week, maybe every month. Maybe you want it every week. You can adjust. Maybe you want it every day if it's a hot topic that you're following. So once a month, you can change its status to active, or it will save this and then you can go back in and change it to inactive if you decide that you no longer want to receive it, but maybe you don't want to ditch the alert. Maybe you want to enable it, you're having vacation or something like that. So I'm going to set the alert. Okay. So if at some point I decide I want to remove that alert or change that alert, I can log back in. I can go to my alerts. And I can say, you know what? I don't want that one anymore. I'm either going to delete it, maybe I want to change it and edit it, or I'll just declare it inactive. All right. Questions about setting alerts?
So far, I don't have any questions.
Okay. One more really great part about setting alerts is that who has cited me? If I've written a paper, I want to know who cited me. So I'm going to search for myself. Oops, Carol. I'm going to add in my affiliation, Manitoba, for University of Manitoba. So this is an author search. So if you did want to follow or check up, maybe you have found an author that seems to be publishing a lot in your field and you want to see what else they've published. You can pop their last name and their first name in here and maybe some part of their affiliation to try and locate them and follow them. You can set up an alert for a particular author, or if you're that author, and I've already done this, so say for example, I want to follow who's cited this particular publication, I can actually go into it and just scroll down a bit, and then inform me when this document is cited in Scopus and just set a citation alert. This is really good if you're a young researcher, you've just published a paper, your paper's now shown up in Scopus, and you want to track who is talking about about the work you're doing and what they're saying. It's really quite satisfying, and it allows you to see how your research has influenced other people. So you can set a citation alert. I already have alerts set up, so I'm not going to do that right now. So anytime this is cited in Scopus, let's be clear, in Scopus only, then it will surface content. This actually has more citations outside of Scopus, so you could also do something similar in Web of Science if you wanted to do that. Okay, so back to that kind of researcher as author piece. Scopus allows you to do author profiles. And what's fantastic about this is because you are allowed to claim, or it allows you to claim your research. Now, you think just by putting your name on it that you've got it good and you can go. But if you have a very common name, your research might get confused with another author, and you need to kind of separate that out. And you can manipulate your Scopus author profile. Each author profile is a unique record of that researcher's publications. Scopus author profiles are automatically generated by Scopus. So this can be really, really problematic. So if you're female like myself and your name is changed due to marriage and you've published under more than one name, those are going to be in two separate Scopus author profiles. But you can actually ask Scopus to bring those names together under one name. So it extracts metadata, so author name, from Scopus to create those author profiles. So it includes things like your name, your affiliation, any subject areas that you're publishing in, citations, co-authors, and then it organizes that information in a useful way. So the user can actually request corrections to a profile, and I do have a video tutorial link here on how to make changes and corrections to that. So for example, if a publication indexed in Scopus has been wrongly assigned to a particular author, which is the most common thing, the preferred name used to display the profile needs to be changed. Maybe your preferred name has changed. Your primary affiliation is chosen from those extracted from the documents, but you could also change that. Some documents indexed in Scopus are missing from your profile. Maybe you want to claim them. So Scopus author profiles, you can access them by clicking on the linked author's name, and it will allow you to see some relevant information. You can link your Scopus author profile with your ORCID ID, which is something else that you're allowed to do. ORCID facilitates this. So if you do have an ORCID profile, we can talk about that. Something else, it gives you a metrics overview. So how many articles have you written? How many citations have those articles garnered? And hey, look, my H index has gone up. I now have an H index of 3. Those of you who are in the healthcare field are probably giggling right now. This is in library sciences, and that H index is super tiny. It also gives you the documents that it has in Scopus. And you can go and look at the citations, all 28 citations if you want to. And if you want to see who I'm co-authoring with, you can certainly follow those other authors and find out more about them. And very broadly, what kind of topics I'm writing in. Questions about the Scopus author profile?
So far, there are no questions coming in yet.
Okay. Now, exporting to citation management software, there is, you can do this, export Scopus citations to all of the major citation management software. It also allows you to, let's see if I can get back to my search. I'll just grab a bunch of results, documents, go back to my documents. Okay, I'll run this search just so I have some. There we go. Okay, so if I want to add these, say I want to download these into my citation management software, I can select all or specific ones. So previously I did pick a couple of references, you'll recall, and I added them to a list. I'm going to select these two, and I'm going to also add those to my list. To a new list and one I saved lists. Haven't done that yet. Okay, I'm going to enter a new list. So promotion, save list. There we go. So if I want to view my lists, I've got 2 documents saved in them. I thought I captured another 2. I can click on my list, and then I can select all those ones. So the reason why I showed you that is I could do multiple different searches and search multiple different ways and capture these documents just by selecting them and adding them to my list, and it will save them. Oh, I know why. I logged in. Because I'm now logged in, it's saving it to my saved lists. So those will follow me. Even if I leave my computer turns itself off, those citations have been captured in a saved list. So it's not going anywhere. So if you haven't set up, or if you are going to use Scopus and you haven't set up a free Scopus account, just register for a free account and grab it because it's well worth it, especially as you're searching. So to export, select what you want to export. And it says text export, but it's actually, it does the citations. Oh, hang on. Oh, no, that was just a text export. Okay. Export my list to, there we go. So what I did incorrectly the first time was I hit text export and it just did that. It just exported the citation information or the record information because it's not specifically a citation. I had to use the drop down arrow and select. So what you can do is you can export directly into Mendeley if you're using that. If you're using EndNote or Zotero, you can use an RIS format. If you're using some other citation management software, RIS format is pretty much universally accepted amongst most citation management software, so you can probably get away with selecting this. With Mendeley, it doesn't allow you the option to pick anything. It's actually, because Scopus and Mendeley work really well together, Mendeley is going to take everything into your Mendeley account. With the RIS format, you can specify and say, okay, I want citation information and I want abstracts and keywords, but the rest of this content, it's not really of interest to me, so I'm not going to worry about it. Maybe I want the PubMed ID if I'm in health sciences, but maybe not. And then just hit export and it will create the file and allow you to save the file. And I'm not going to do that. I'll just hit cancel. And then you can import it into your citation management software. Okay. So I know I went through this really quickly, but what I wanted to know, we've got a final poll or two for you. You can either pop a question in here, pop a question in the chat for GoToWebinar software, or you can just contribute. What did you learn that was interesting? Or what was clarified for you? Is there anything that you will use? Is Scopus something that you will use?
I have a comment here, Carol.
Okay.
It's
Yep.
great to learn searching in Scopus and exporting it to the reference software.
Yes, that's really important. What you should know with that export, what is lacking in the export in a lot of instances is the URL that will link back into the University of Manitoba. Okay, so that can be a bit challenging if you want to link from your citation management software into the University of Manitoba. With this, it does indicate that it's going to send the DOI, which is the document ordering information. It's a standardized number for all documents, and it does end up creating a a URL, but that URL is not, Stefania, I think your mic is still on. That URL is not actually going to work well. So you have to make the extra step. If you do want to open it up, or if you want to save the PDF, you're going to have to follow this lovely check library access. For some reason, my link is broken. It's usually a lovely yellow bar here for check library access. If you click on that, then it would take you in through the University of Manitoba. And if I could access it electronically, then it would show up in how to get. In this case, if I wanted something, I would have to request it. So if I want to request it, I have to sign in with my University of Manitoba UMNet ID and password, and then go through the document delivery process for this particular article. If I show you what that looks like. Oops, I'm not for. Oh, isn't that the thing, Stefania? You type it in wrong once, and it just never comes up right.
That is the truth. In the meantime, I have someone asking when you're ready, if you could please repeat a bit about the Scopus author profile.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So if I did want to request this from another library, all I'd have to do would be to click this link, and I'll open up the document ordering. So the Scopus author profile, let's look at, say, this author's profile. Actually, no, I think I'm going to show you something first. Show you an example of how things can break. So I'm going to search for my name. I'm going to take out my affiliation and do a search. So not that I am that particular Carol A. Cook. I am the University of Manitoba, Carol A. Cook. But if someone was searching for me, and or maybe I was the same person, maybe Carol A. Cook from the University of Manitoba is the same Carol A. Cook as Johns Hopkins University, and they just moved. If I needed to combine those into one, I can hit request to merge authors. I'm not going to do that here because it would not be a good thing. And there would be questions. So there would be a lot of email follow-up between Scopus and you as an individual before they actually did this. So I'm not going to do it for obvious reasons. Something else that can happen with names is you could have changed your last name if you got married. If you have a very common name, there might be more than one affiliation, or you might have moved locations. So maybe you did your undergrad in one university and you published. Maybe you're working on your master's, obviously at the U of M, or maybe you were affiliated with a hospital when you published. So you can actually locate all of those options and then request to merge those authors. What you would do is you would check before you did anything like that, you would check and make sure that the documents that are assigned to you are relevant. Where it becomes a bit weird and difficult is if something's been assigned to you and it's not yours and you want to kind of clean up your author profile. What you can do is you can go into a list and you can, man, you can edit your profile, but only very narrowly. You can set the preferred name, merge your profiles, add, remove documents. There you go. So you can actually remove documents. So if one of the documents that's actually has been attributed to me is not mine, you can remove it and then make that change. Does that answer your question? Are there any other questions, Stefania?
This person says, yes, it does answer the question. And so far, no other questions.
Okay, great. All right. So what I would like to point out is something else in Scopus that's super cool is if you get stuck and you don't know what you're doing and you need a little bit of assistance, you can, oh my goodness, where is it? We usually have a little flyout here, eh, Stefania? What you can do is you can go to, if I close this, on all of the University of Manitoba pages, you'll see a flash that looks like this, Ask Us. If you click on this, it will allow you to ask a question of a University of Manitoba library staff member, okay? So at any time, you can reach out and contact us through the virtual chat. Another way that you can do that is by booking an appointment with a librarian. So Stefania's popped the Ask Us chat link into the window below. Stefania, if you could also, I don't know if you can pop that book an appointment with a librarian in there. There you go. So you can book an appointment with a librarian. If you are interested primarily in a health sciences librarian, you can book an appointment through that link that Stefania has there. If you're looking to book an appointment with a librarian at the Fort Garry campus, a non-health sciences librarian, you can also use this appointment link. Um, why might you want to do that? Well, hopefully today you have discovered that maybe there are some things that a librarian might help you uh, with in terms of your thesis and individual appointments. We can help tailor our responses to your research. So I hope this gave you a bit of an idea of about Scopus. I will hang on here for the next 4 minutes to answer questions. Otherwise, you are welcome to leave. And thank you very much for attending today. Are there any other questions, Stefania?
Nope, no other questions, Carol.
Okay, I will wait.
Still pretty quiet.
Yep. I've just shut off my camera, but I'm still here. So if you have any other questions, you can feel free. If you prefer, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. All right, hearing no questions, I'm going to thank everybody for attending, and I hope you have a lovely day.